make me do it. Yeah, push me. I don't really, you know, first of all, I think sometimes that's said, I think the line to some extent was almost disingenuously said insofar as Obama kind of knew that we didn't have that institutional capacity to do so. It was almost kind of like a raise your middle finger. You can't, can you? You know, push me. I mean, and it's also a way of sort of evading one's ethical responsibility. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't, you're not going to put it on me that I and my comrades and cohorts didn't push you hard enough that you think it's okay to send, you know, a major bomb into the town of Bola Baluk, you know, in the province of Farah in Afghanistan and blow up 200 kids, and they have to pick up their bodies and put them in wheelbarrows and drive them to the governor's province, and everybody's in tears, and you and Hillary won't even so much as issue an apology for it, but you issue an apology the same week to the people of New York because you had an ill-advised Air Force One flyover Manhattan that reminded people of 9/11. You know, heads had to roll after that. They got rid of the military attaché who did that. A formal apology. Will not apologize for, you know, blowing up 200 kids in Bola Baluk. I mean, that's not my fault. Don't put that on me. But you did that. Well, you didn't make me not do that. You're the president of the United States. You inherited a killing machine, and you kept the machine set on kill. So, you know, which is all a long-winded way of qualifying. Of course, we need to push the president from the bottom up. You know, I think Obama might want to confront the possibility that the power elite has decided to make him a one-termer. And the one kind of hope that I've always had in Obama is his narcissism, and not just, you know, anyone. I remember Edwards. I mean, I was impressed by Edwards, but I met Edwards a couple times in Iowa too, and I was really struck. I mean, I think this is kind of a characteristic of people who think, you know, that they could and should be the president of the United States. They're probably kind of narcissistic. I mean, you know, there was a reason that for a period of the Athenian Greek democracy experiment, you know, as flawed as it was, you know, flawed by things like slavery and no female vote, but they had this notion that your leaders should be selected by lot on the theory that you wouldn't want to actually be led by anybody who wants to lead other people. Right. You don't want those kind of people. And so, you know, we select assholes. I mean, let's be honest about that. Maybe it has to be filtered out you know, through the process. But, you know, insofar as can we find anything, maybe it's a progressive potential in this realization that he's being abandoned by the economic royalists. I mean, it's just...
And therefore he's going to, you know, make a turn. And
what's he got to lose? It's like my friend Kelly says out, he's going to call you a socialist no matter what you do. So what the hell? Go ahead and be like socially democratic. Because I mean, you can be arch neoliberal. You can set new records of transferring taxpayer dollars to parasitic financial institutions, and they will still call you. You know, Rupert Murdoch's Fox News, which is the sole source of political information for 70% of the Tea Party cohort in this country, is just around the clock calling you a Marxist no matter what you. But you know, if they're just gonna take you for a ride, which they did, and they got this incredible bailout, and they're going to drive you up to Harlem and kick you out of the back seat like a $5 hoe and go completely over to the GOP, then why don't you narcissistically get it? These guys aren't on your side. You might as well, you know, this is my one hope for Obama. That he just, like this macho pride, this narcissism will come out and say, you know, by God, you know, and just start talking like Roosevelt did in 34 and 35. I mean, he should do that. You know, if he actually showed signs of doing that, what the heck? No, you know, the Democrats running, you know, a progressive candidate coming along. You know, I think if Edwards, you know, 2008 was an opportunity, I think, for a much bigger economic stimulus than Obama did. If you ask me tactically, where he made a critical error that really cost him, is he should have had a much bigger stimulus with real public works programs into it that would have put people to work. He should have been less bashful about sort of John Edwards style rhetoric. Should have pushed that, and he should have waited on the healthcare thing, which was just a highly personalized, red meat killer issue that the right was just dying to grab a hold of and crucify him on. Should have waited until he'd stabilized the economy more effectively. I think he should have nationalized or done much more in the way of antitrust with a financial institution. I think he should have railed at them, and I think that the results would have been less awful for progressives in the last midterm. Now, could we get somebody? Could there be a progressive insurgency of some sort in 2012? Edwards is out because of the Riel Hunter affair. I mean, he's gone. Edwards has been killed. He's been wiped off the slate. He would have been a candidate for that some kind of way. Of course, he would have been co-opted and made Attorney General if he hadn't been, if he hadn't had the zipper issue that he had. I think we're done. I think Nader and Kucinich have served their purpose. I think they're probably done. You know, maybe this Feingold guy, I mean, I don't know what I think of Russ Feingold. Maybe Russ Feingold could become like a, try and play the role that Teddy Kennedy did against Jimmy Carter in blah, blah, blah. You know, who knows? I don't know. It's a lot of, I mean, I'm not in electoral politics, but I'm sort of, but I'm interested in electoral politics. It's sort of interesting. It's kind of like I follow kind of like sports or like celebrity gossip. It's kind of intriguing to me. It's intriguing to me to think, to strategize about what they might do with that. I mean, like, I'm very intrigued right now with who in the hell are the Republicans going to try and come up with in 2012? That's an interesting question. That's a real issue that they have. And this Mark Rubio guy seems to have a lot of potential, but he seems a little early. You know, they're going to breed him, get him up to speed. You know, I think you could have a second Obama administration if they really screw up and run Sarah Palin. I think that would be a real disaster for them if they did that. Maybe now someone, there ought to be, in the wake of this hammering, this tells me there ought to be a progressive challenge in the primaries in 2012. But I'd like to see anyone willing to do that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the debate about what the meaning of the Tea Party thing is. And, you know, I would agree with a lot of what you said, but I disagree maybe with Glenn Ford on that point. I mean, I think what's striking is that with this rise of the Tea Parties, open racist rhetoric has become more mainstreamed and more acceptable than it has been probably since the end of World War II in the political mainstream, as opposed to, like, you know, George Wallace or something. But, and I think that working class black people in particularly, and non-racist working class white people, are partly just in shock at the lack of a voice to counter this. The fact that who's standing up and telling this that this is not acceptable. You know, Barack Obama hasn't done it. I don't know what he's thinking. He's doing a rope-a-dope or something on them. I don't know, but there's no point to it. But, you know, I want somebody, and the left hasn't done it either, frankly. I mean, that's where I very much agree with you. It's partly our fault too. And we got to stand up, it seems to me, especially after this election, and tell these bastards who just got in, look, you may have been elected by the people, quote unquote, some people, right, a minority of the people, but you are not going to be able to treat the U.S. Congress like it's your new magnolia-scented night for you to do things in. We're watching you, and if you get out of line, we'll shut you down. We'll come to Washington and we'll stop it. And, you know, whether we can or not, this is the kind of stuff I want to be hearing right now. I don't want to hear, like, you know, how do we maneuver, how do we do anything? I do want to go back to what Howard's saying, the new abolitionism. You know, we need the new abolitionism where there's no compromise with this stuff anymore. There's no room to compromise. They're going to be merciless. The new Congress, the House of Representatives, is controlled by a bunch of racist, paranoid conspiracy theorists. They're going to be coming after the left, just like they came after Van Jones, except 10 times more. Somebody's got that HUAC stencil out right now, and they're, you know, getting it ready to paint back on the door. They're going to extend it now to climate scientists. They're going to be investigating every aspect of the Obama administration. You know, there's going to be a lot more Shirley Sherrods coming out. I mean, this is going to be like a struggle. And to me, you know, I think that grassroots people, I mean, they're looking and they want to see that there's somebody who's going to stand up and fight. Because I think people are more than ready. And I don't think, I mean, I grew up in Marquette Park in Chicago, and I know that the Tea Party, I know exactly, I mean, where that's coming from. You know, the situation now.
You're from the south side of Chicago, like me. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, and I remember when Harold Washington was elected, and I remember, you know, all of the innate racism that suddenly just poured out of people like a pustule broke, and none of that. But I mean, I will admit that, I mean, I did not foresee all of this being as bad as it was after Obama was elected, but in hindsight,